Hey guys, welcome back. It's Miss Nelson. This is lesson 2. Just a quick recap of lesson 1. We read an informational text called Life in a Pond. So if you haven't read that yet, you need to go back to lesson 1 and read that. And it's also just a good idea to go ahead and reread that in preps of what we're going to be doing today. We are going to use a graphic organizer to help us determine what the topic of what the story was about, and then help us decide why this topic is important for the author to have written about. And then we're also going to come up with examples that back up to why this topic was important. Remember, we always want to give examples, text evidence, to back up our main ideas or topics. I chose something fun today, kind of hopefully make it a little bit more lively. I know it's hard being stuck at home. So I'm going to use an ice cream sundae to help me organize my thoughts and thinking about our text, okay? So right now what you see is my empty bowl, okay? So the main part, the front part of the bowl, is where I'm going to write what the main idea or the topic of the story that we read yesterday. How many of you can remember? What do you think is the topic of that book yesterday that we read? You're right, ponds. So I'm going to find a spot. I could either write it right up here or down here. I think I'm going to write it down here. Ponds. Okay. And now right here on the edge of my bowl is where I'm going to think about, why was it so important for the author to make a book about ponds for us to read? What was the purpose of him or she writing the book about ponds? I think it's important because it's important to know that ponds help animals. So I'm going to write ponds help animals. Now I've made my statement, ponds help animals. Now to back up my statement, I need text evidence, right? Examples sharing how ponds help animals. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to start off with a single scoop of ice cream. Apparently Miss Nelson hasn't had ice cream in a long time. Okay, here's my first scoop of some vanilla ice cream. Hopefully you can see that. And I'll draw right in a brighter marker. All right, so inside my first scoop, I'm going to go back through the book, so you'd have to re-listen to the book, and find an example of how ponds help animals. And we're gonna write it in our first scoop. All right? I remember reading about turtles, frogs, and fish, and even beavers use ponds as their homes. So ponds are used for homes, so I'm gonna write home for turtles. I'm just going to list a few of the examples. You don't have to list every single animal it listed, just a few. Turtles, frogs, fish, and beavers. Okay, so that's a really good first text evidence into supporting how I think ponds help animals. But what makes an ice cream sundae better than a single scoop? How about a double scoop? So I'm going to find, here's my strawberry ice cream scoop. I'm going to find a second example of how ponds help animals. So again, you would re-listen to the story, look at the book again if you can't remember. And I'm going to, oh, you know what? I remembered that ducks and swans use ponds to rest. You know, they do a lot of traveling and flying, and where do they go to take a break and rest? They go to ponds. So I'm going to write a resting spot for ducks and swans. All right, so we've got 1 and we've got 2 now examples, text evidence from our book in supporting why ponds help animals. But what's even better than a double scoop ice cream? I'm thinking a triple scoop ice cream, right? The more we have, the better it is. And just like our ice cream, the more evidence you can provide from the book supports your reasoning even more. Okay, so my third scoop, I'm going to write the pond. I remember that a lot of animals eat and drink from the pond. So not only does it provide a home for them to live in, it provides a resting spot, but it also provides food and water. Oops. So I'm going to put food and water for the animals. Now these are just notes, okay? So they're short, sweet, and to the point. They're not having to be in a complete sentence just yet. We will take these, and tomorrow for lesson 3, we will put these in a complete sentence, okay? So food, water for the animals. Does anyone remember what one of the types of foods that grows on top of the pond water for the animals? Does anyone remember? It starts with a P. I believe he's a character off SpongeBob too. He's always trying to steal, I think, Krusty Krab's recipe. Isn't his name Plankton? I'm gonna write the word plankton, because that's an example of one of the foods that the pond provides for the animals to eat. Okay, so again, the more text evidence you can provide, the better. It helps with why something is important that you have stated on your writing and your thinking and your thoughts. Remember, when we share our thoughts and feelings or our thinking, we always need to back it up with examples. And the best way is to go back through our text and look for evidence, examples, okay? So the more scoops of ice cream, the better in helping you back up your thoughts on why the topic is important for that author to write about. Okay, so just a recap. The main idea and topic of the book we read was about ponds. I think it's important because ponds help animals. It provides a home for turtles, frogs, fish, and beavers. It's used as a resting spot for ducks and swans. And it also provides food and water for some of the animals. And the food is one of the examples was plankton. Okay, but if you want, we can also add actually examples of what type of animals, and I'm just going to write that to the side. So I know we heard raccoons, and there was deer. And if you can remember any more, go back to your text and check to see which animals it had listed. But those are good starts. Okay, my friends, so today what you're going to do is you're going to re-listen to our story, and you are going to fill out your graphic organizer in helping you collect your thoughts. Why is it important? What was the topic? Why is it important? And what were those examples that you found that back up your thinking? Okay? All right, and I look forward to working with you guys tomorrow, taking this and putting it into our writing. Bye.